Hello, I'm Michael Redmond, professional Go player. In this video, I'm going to show you a game from the Matsuda Masatake Memorial 31st International Amateur Pair Go Championship. Today's game is from the third round. Kurashina Maiko and Kihara Shunsuke from Kinki have the black stones. Kashihara, Eriko, and Takabatake Yutaka have the white stones, and they're from Shikoku. So this is an opening that has been played a lot recently, and it often involves an attachment at the start point in the upper left corner. So that's something I'm going to talk about here. In this position, white could have played an attachment at the start point. So let's look at it at the review board. So let's look at it in the review board. White can attach here, and this has become a popular joseki. Black will probably answer on this side. White can cover. And the key move in this variation is white cutting here to see how black captures the cutting stone. Black will probably curl around once and then capture from this side, after which white can play an extension towards the side. In this variation, white has given black some solid territory in the upper left corner in return for getting an extra stone on the upper side. And in this board position, it works well with the fight developing on the upper side and white getting opportunities to attack the black stone on the upper side. So this is the way I would suggest white should have played. So back to the game. White played a joseki that has been around for a while. It's an even result. And black plays the lower left corner. At this point, white did not actually have to play the attachment here. It would have been perfectly normal to play some kind of a pincer on the right side. And here it would have been customary for black to not have played this hanesugi on the second line, as white playing the same point would not have been forcing. But it's a pretty even game up to this point. And white invaded. So this is an interesting move. So let's look at it in the review board. White's idea here is that if black plays underneath, white can build a wall towards the center, and this is working well for white. So that was white's plan here. Therefore, back to the game, it was natural that black jumped out towards the center. So at this point, white's jump to the side here is a move that is probably not very good. I don't like it because white is heading towards the strongest black group there. It's like hitting a wall. So I would say white should have jumped into the side. So in this position, I can understand that it's a bit worrying for white in that white is invading an area that is controlled by black, but actually it's safer to jump straight in, because in this case, white will have enough room to make eyes on the side or can jump out to the center on the next move. So it's actually a safer move than jumping sideways. For instance, if black plays on the top, white can play moves like this to the side and very easily make a living shape. So that would be no problem for white. Otherwise, if black plays underneath, white can jump out to the center. And that's also relatively easy for white. So it would have been much easier for white to handle this group if white had simply jumped towards the side. So now black plays a very tight move here. And it's understandable that maybe black felt that at this point the game is looking good for black because white played a strange move there on the right side. But this is a bit tight and sort of in the wrong direction. So going back to the review board, I would say if you want to play it safe, you should probably start by reinforcing the relatively weak groups, because the upper left corner is a relatively strong group. So for instance, playing this slide in the corner would be a big move, and it would be threatening white's group on the lower side. So this slide that black plays in the lower right corner and this white extension to the lower side, these are interchangeable points. They're miai. With this exchange, although both players have played big points, the added value for black is that black's group on the right side is now perfectly alive. Similarly, black could play the next move here, which is reinforcing black in the upper right corner. This would be handling a group that could potentially get into trouble later, and it's also increasing the value of an extension on the upper side. So white will probably play something like this. Black can protect the corner, and now we see in this position it's much easier for black to make a 3-space extension with no wasted moves in this case. So this would be a satisfying position for black. And I think that if black was going to play safely, this would be the way to play. Another opportunity would be to try to find a way to attack white's 2 stones on the right, which is probably a bit more difficult to make it work. So I would suggest playing like this in a very straightforward fashion. In the game, black plays a 2-space extension, but this doesn't really solve the potential problems. First of all, black's upper left corner is not yet territory, and black's group in the lower right is not yet settled. It's not the most efficient move. White extended to the side. White with this move is hoping to make some trouble in the corner. Black slided now, and white invaded here. Now this was maybe just a little bit premature. It would have been perfectly okay for white to play an extension on the lower side. So this became a very difficult fight here. When black pushed through here, another move that black could have played was this cut in the review board, having a better shape on the left side and getting some profit towards the upper side. So that might have been a good way for black to play here. In the game, black pushed through, and white now had an opportunity. So at this point, it would have been simpler for white to cut here and capture the 2 stones. And this would have been a fairly even result. In the game, white connected, and this was dangerous. If black had covered on the second line, this would have been slightly favorable for black. So in this case, it is a very complicated situation. I will take a look at this in the review board. So if black covers here, white has to start by extending liberty. So white will play a hane here and the connection. The race to capture with the corner is not looking good for white. If white plays here, this is heading into this race to capture. If black captures the 1 stone on the left side, this will become a ko. But overall, this is a playable position for black, even if black ends up sacrificing the corner. In the game, black played down here, and this turned into a trade. So black managed to capture these 3 white stones on the upper side, and white got a good position towards the left side. In general, this was a success for white, but white's final move here was maybe a bit slack. To look at it in the review board, with this move, if white had jumped in here, this would still have been a very big move. And if black plays here, white can force with these moves and play something like this towards the left side. So this exchange would have gained some territory and started to make some eye space for the white group. When black invades the lower side, this becomes a difficult fight. This was a position where it might have been a good idea to play the double hane for white. So let's look at that in the review board. If white plays a double hane here, black has a number of choices actually. If black cuts here, then white can cut underneath and capture 2 black stones on the side. In this case, this would be a good result for white, in that white was in a bit of trouble there locally and is already okay on the right side. So taking the territory here is worth it for white. If black cuts on this side, white can connect up to the corner this way. And cutting white is a bit dangerous for black. So for instance, this kind of variation, when black cannot capture the 4 stones on the left, black will end up with a number of weak groups the group on the lower side and the group in the center, for instance. So this is good for white. Going back to the game board, white allowed black to get a fairly strong position towards the center. And now black starts to play some forcing moves on the left side. On the whole, this was a good sequence for black, playing a number of forcing moves to reduce white's potential on the left side of the board and creating a good position. So playing here, it was a very tight move, probably not actually very necessary. As far as territories is concerned, this knight's move is not very big. So for instance, to look at it in the review board, black might cut once and play the knight's move here. So this is actually a fairly big move as far as territory is concerned, and it has the value that it settles all of black's stones on the right side of the board. If white cuts here, black can just play here and here and sacrifice some stones. So white doesn't really want to take the stones on the left, so it might turn out like this. And black will have no trouble in the center, something like this. This is a forcing move against white on the left, and black has just sacrificed 2 stones in an area that was not very much territory for black anyway. So this would be okay for black. In the center here, the peep here was a very strange move, and locally, to look at it on the review board, white does have the hane here. Against this move, black will probably answer somewhere from the center. For instance, if black plays here, white can continue like this and get some profit with sente. And this would end up something like this. Black does save the 4 stones, either capturing 2 stones here or the 1 stone here. Or white could just leave that exchange for later. Actually, jumping in here is a very big move in this game. Almost throughout the game, this was a big move. This exchange gave black some extra territory in the center of the board and was not good for white. When black takes the upper right corner with this move, black has a territorial lead. So to go back a few moves, white probably had to take sente here and slide into the corner. This might have been a bit better, or at least to have played this move. White had to continue actively on the right side of the board. So at this point, black has a lead in territory. It was the extra profit in the center here that black probably gained a number of points. And the game is still going smoothly here, up to this point, where black played here. So this was a mistake, and could have been the losing move. If white throws in here, actually, let's make a diagram. If white throws in here, black is disconnected in the center. If black takes the 1 stone, it will be like this. Black might be able to make some trouble with a ko here, but actually the corner group is not alive either. For instance, in the corner, white can at some point play this move, and black does not have 2 eyes. If black plays this way, this is going to be an eye for no eye, and when black starts filling liberties, it becomes a 5-stone dead shape. Or if black plays here, it's going to be a 3-stone dead shape. So black has no way to live in the corner if white plays first. This is the key point in this case. So in all, it's a very dangerous fight for black. In the game, white failed to play that cutting move, and after black played here, now this is going to be a win for black. Just to follow the rest of the moves, throughout the rest of the game, black maintained a lead. And white missed the cut here after this. If white takes the one stone, black can capture the whole white group. So that was probably an oversight, but it had nothing to do with the result of the game because black was winning already. So thank you for watching this video, and that's it for this game. And I'll see you next time.